Hello, everyone. Welcome you all back to What's Up podcast. It's a podcast for undocumented AAPI resources and programs and conversation. We are here together. My name is Spoon, and we're here with Ria, Blue, and Casey. I'm going to do a shout out to Ria. Ria,
Hi everyone. Hi again. My name is Ria and my pronouns are she, her. I'll pass it on to Blue.
Hi everybody, my name is Blue. Pronouns are he, him, his, and I'll pass it off to Casey.
Hi everyone, my name is Casey. Pronouns are she, her, hers. Back to Spoon.
all right, thank you everyone for joining. And for those who are listening for the first time, we just want to let you all know that What's Up podcast shows up every single week. We're recording live on Wednesdays and then uploaded by Friday of that particular week. Today's date is May 19th. 2021. As I mentioned, it is Wednesday. We do have some policy update before we go over our overall episode, which is about future and goals today. So quick policy updates from the immigration policy updates right now today. This is given to us by Nakasek, who sent it to us by May 17th. So there's been a lot of talks about Build Back Better and the bipartisanship which has been ongoing. On Wednesday, May 12th, the Pelosi, Schumer, McConnell, and McCarthy met with the Biden administration for the first time since Biden became the president. They talked about a potential compromise on the infrastructure plan. And on Friday, May 14th, DACA recipient also met with Biden. They're trying to wrap up bipartisanship talk by the end of this month, which is May. There's really no input from the parliamentarian yet on the number of reconciliation bills that can happen this year, which would affect how many chances we have at including the immigration in the reconciliation bill. There's alignment amongst the congressional members on working for the reconciliation that we're trying to do the DREAM Act, TPS, and the essential workers do the reconciliation. So it may be end up um, cutting down to just the DREAM Act and the TPS, but not including the essential workers. So we're definitely going to try to push back if that is the case. If that doesn't work, congressional members will know that we'll try to do the registry approach, also do the reconciliation. The Congressional Hispanic Caucus (CHC) members who are lead on the immigration to reconciliation met with the leader Schumer. They heard about the two-track process, which is first track would be 60 votes, and the bipartisanship track two was the reconciliation. So there's different kind of methods to try to include the immigration reform this year and as soon as possible. At the same time, CHC is still very focused on the U.S. Citizenship Act, which is going to be more inclusive and more comprehensive. There's a chance that Lofgren may mark up the USCA. It seems like the markup will be to make it more inclusive. However, most of the attention is still on the reconciliation. Another reason that Lofgren may mark up the United States Citizenship Act is the perception that if the bill passes the House, it will most likely uh, it will more likely will they go through with the reconciliation. Lofgren also wants to mark up Cash's essential workers bill for the same reason. So timeline moving forward in a national level, the May 17th, May 27th, Biden's full budget request will likely come out. There's a Memorial Day, May 20th, and then June 14th, House recesses, May 28th to June 6th, Senate recesses, and around after June 14th, the budget resolution work will be done. And there's a lot of infrastructure work and conversation about from the Pelosi's office who wants the infrastructure bill to go to the floor by the July 4th. So I think this is, as always, a slow and arduous process of getting some sort of immigration reform, but we are trying to make sure that everybody has all the information ready to go. A little bit more on the state side as well as local news and policies. KRC and many other organizations in Orange County are trying to meet up with Orange County representatives here. So there have been conversations with Orange County Representative Katie Porter, as well as Orange County Representative Young Kim, as well as the representative member Michelle Steele. So we're trying to meet up with them so that, especially since both young Kim and Michelle still are on the Republican, from the Republican Party conservative side, and we're trying to convince them to be part of this bipartisanship to push an immigration reform that is inclusive and comprehensive, and as fast as we can, of course. So with that, that's all the political updates, immigration policy updates for this week. So be sure to tune in for next week for more policy update. If there's nothing else, we're gonna move on back to Blue, who's gonna be going over the topic of today. Blue, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Spoon. So yeah, today's topic is going to basically be future and goals. And I wanted to bring this topic up because, oftentimes, life can be very hectic, and we have clearly seen that because of COVID, just how hectic and exhausting life can be at times. And life kind of passes you by, and you start getting older and older, and you forget about your goals. And so I think it's important to discuss these goals with each other and try to inspire each other to pursue those goals by just being able to have a relaxing conversation about them. So yeah, that's going to be today's topic, and kind of to get the conversation going, I'm gonna start with the first question, which is what are some of your most deserving or daring goals that you have in life, and then also I guess how did those dreams / goals come about? And I'll start so that everybody else can kind of think about their answers while I give mine. So one of my most dearing goals in life is to be able to buy my parents a home where they can live in, because paying rent every month for the rest of your life is not really, economically speaking, it's not very efficient. I mean, obviously it's hard to buy a home, and obviously not everybody can be a homeowner, but that's why it's a goal of mine that I set. I set this goal long before coming to the United States, and yeah, it's been a goal of mine just to own a home for my parents to live in. And that goal came about just from like personal experience, just seeing how rent is so expensive to have to pay every month, and how inefficient it is really to just have to pay rent every single month. It's a very inefficient goal, an efficient way of actually living. So I kind of wanted to change that because for me specifically, like me personally, I wouldn't care if I even lived like in a very small apartment, 1 bedroom, 1 bath. That's really all I would need, because I don't concern myself too much with a lot of space. I just need like a little space. But I know that my parents would like to probably own a home and things like that. And another dream of mine is just to be able to, support them and support myself to become self-sufficient in the long term, and, just be able to be reliable, so that they don't rely on me, but, I don't rely on them, and then they rely on me, sort of like kind of give and take. Because they have done so much for me, I kind of feel like it's my responsibility to take care of them eventually. And so yeah, those are two of my like most daring dreams or goals, I guess. And yeah, I guess and that goal came about just from growing up and everything that they did for me. Obviously they weren't perfect, but neither was I wasn't perfect either, so but at the end of the day, I always have a roof over my head and food on the table, and I'm definitely appreciative of that. So hopefully one day I'm able to take care of them like they did for me. And I guess yeah, I will pass it on to Ria next.
What a really, really great goal. I think my goals can also relate to that. I also want to not necessarily buy my parents a home. I haven't even like thought of it that way, but I want to be able to live with my parents in a home together. I see my mom watch HGTV like every Sunday whenever she has the chance, and she dreams about like living in one of those 2-story houses with a lot of rooms and nice bathrooms. So I don't know. I want to be able to give that to her in some way, shape, or form. But the most important part is that I want my parents to live together, because in our current situation, my mom is here and my dad is in Japan, and they haven't been able to live together since I was born. So it's kind of a difficult situation, and they haven't really been able to enjoy their marriage. So it's in kind of the same boat where I want to give them a place to be able to spend time with each other and with us as a whole family. I don't know how that's gonna happen, but it's been something that I've been wanting ever since I realized like my parents have been really sacrificial. Like they sacrificed their marriage so that we can have a better life here. And I don't think it should be in vain. They should be rewarded with the sacrifices that they make. So I want to be able to make a good job. I feel like at this point in my career, I don't know if I'll be able to find a job that will satisfy all of my interests and my needs and my knowledges. I think I need to like make one, make a career, and then through that build something that my parents can be proud of. But other than that, I have another dream, which is like to perform in the 2028 Olympics, because they're coming to LA, so that'll be kind of fun. Yeah. I'll pass it on to Casey.
That is a great dream, Ria. I gasped. I was like, yes, you can do it. You can go and perform in front of the Olympics. And I think it's funny because I think I don't know if spoons is gonna also be tied into this theme, but like I feel like our dreams are all like tied into family somehow, some way. Because my dream is to become a doctor, and that stems from like my parents too, because like they sacrificed so much coming to this country and giving up everything they knew to try and give me and my brother like something more substantial to stand on. I think that like I want to earn their sacrifice and show that like that it wasn't all in vain, you know, like you have a daughter who's a doctor, and then like further down the line, it's funny because we all have like house themes because I want to buy a mansion with my big doctor money, you know, and I want to buy a mansion so like they can live there, you know, and that they can live with me and I can provide for them, and that's just like worry free. And I think it's something that's like hard to work for. By no means is it going to be easy. Who knows if I'll be able to do it, but I think that yeah, that's my dream and my goal. So I'll pass it on to Spoon.
Yeah, everybody's everybody's very wholesome dreams. I love this topic. Thank you so much, Blue, for doing this topic. Um, yeah, I think mine is also have to do with the dream. One of it is I have many dreams, obviously, but one of it is kind of similar to everybody's. I actually want to build my own house, build a dream house. I want to. So my dad is a he he has all these tools. He fixes homes. He helps with plumbing. He does with like uh, you know contracting work. He has a contracting business. And yeah, I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I get to really build a dream house, and I want my future generation to be like, your grandfather built his room with his own hands, or like, oh, this. I always like as a kid, you always were like, I want to have a slide in my house. That'd be really cool. Like your grandfather built this slide in his house, like these stairs or this kitchen or whatever. Secret room, secret rooms. That'd be really amazing. Um, yeah, I wanted to be able to build my own house, and with my own hands. And obviously like it doesn't have to be like everything on my own. Obviously we're going to use tools and everything, but it's just I think it'd be really cool to say that you built your own house and you plan it all out. You plan these each room in certain size and all of those things. Really, things it's technically possible, but I just wish that I could do that. For my future generation and for just to have my family as well. Currently, was residing, who are living right now. So that'd be really kind of cool. Another dream, and I love this question because I recently talked to a friend of mine that I haven't talked to in a while about this, but I have this idea for my both my parents are a small, I guess they're own, like they're kind of like an entrepreneur. They do their own business. My dad, like I mentioned, he works, he's a contractor. My mom works in like this textile, like clothing fashion district, and she like helps with like designs and stuff. But they're both business owners, and it's a struggle for as an immigrant business owner, especially during pandemic. Um, but I wanted to help people like my parents, who has small businesses. They know how to do a business, but they don't really know how to keep the business afloat or do like bookkeeping. It's like accounting stuff, and because I speak Korean, I know there's a lot of like Korean business owners who own like boba shops or like laundromats or and all these different kind of small businesses, and I want to be able to help them like, hey, like I can help you and get a client and build that this like a firm that helps people and not charge too much money because a lot of them you really want to help them really like build like have like help other people with their entrepreneurship. I think that'd be really cool. And having this all this like information and helping people and helping like, you know, creating a resource for even Spanish speakers or or uh, Arabic business owners or whatever. So have like hire people within the community who can actually speak the language and really like communicate with people. Because I think what happens is a lot of people who own these businesses, they have to try to communicate their expenses or their business to like someone who doesn't really know the language, and I think it's kind of difficult for them to really get down and help with that. So I think it would be really cool to be able to help people with their business idea. So I think that'd be really cool to run different kind of programs. Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much my dream. I'll pass it back to Blue.
Thank you so much, Spoon, and everybody else for your amazing dreams. Yeah, I think it's important. It's important to do this, to just talk about it amongst ourselves, and just see what drives each of us to work hard and to hopefully one day achieve those goals and become a reality, not just a dream. So now my next question would probably be, what are some of the obstacles that sort of prevent you from reaching your dreams or goals? And, do you think it's more like an inner struggle, or is there like something external that's preventing you from reaching your dreams? It doesn't have to really be the dreams that you mentioned. It can be any other dream, big or small, that maybe a dream that you're working towards right now. But essentially, what are some of the obstacles that prevent you from, reaching your goals and dreams? And are you trying to find ways to work around those obstacles to essentially get to your dreams or goals? And I'll go first again, so that, I give everybody everybody a chance to go and think of their answers. So for me, my biggest obstacle, to be honest, is with myself in terms of reaching my dreams, because I am honestly not somebody that exudes a lot of confidence in myself. I will do things that are necessary for me to do, but when I feel like the goal is too difficult, or it seems too far away, or like too unrealistic, I tend to kind of put that dream by the wayside and kind of move on to the next thing. So I don't pursue it as hard as I should. For instance, like one of the things that I really wanted to work on was to start my own sort of YouTube channel. I was thinking about making my own YouTube channel that I was gonna kind of make, and it was going to be about like education. I was gonna be kind of like an online tutor, things like that, where I was gonna just teach about math and things like that, math, English, things like that. I don't know, because I always saw like people teaching in YouTube through videos, and that's how I learned a lot of the things. But a lot of times, while the videos were great, I feel like their teaching process was different than mine and how I would approach things. So I always had that desire of kind of making my own YouTube channel where I was going to teach about different topics that I knew about. It was going to be sort of like an all encompassing YouTube channel with like different topics that I was going to teach about and things like that. But I don't know. I never. It's a struggle within myself because I don't think I can do it personally. But yeah, that's something that I always had in my mind. And then in terms of outside struggles or like obstacles, I definitely think my status has it's a big obstacle to overcome because it has definitely limited my options on a lot of things that I wanted to do. Yeah, so I'm hoping that eventually something happens that gives us or anyone that doesn't have any papers or any way to find work, the conventional way, at least the conventional way, just a pathway for us to be able to contribute to the society and to get compensated for our contributions. But yeah, I guess yeah, I will pass it on to Spoon.
Yeah, thank you, Blue. I think I love that dream. I think you can still definitely do it. This is our YouTube channel. It's gonna be kind of like an interesting introduction to that as well. But yeah, I think for me, some of the obstacles would also include me as well. I think despite like those two dreams that I mentioned, I remember when I was a student at community college, I had a professor who told me about like, hey, look, how many I'll be in the classroom and he would be like, okay, how many of you speak another language? And I raised my hand, and a bunch of people raised their hand, and then they say, like, oh, what language do you speak? And some people say Spanish, some people say like Japanese, or some people say what other language. He says, well, how many of the business around here, around the campus, do you see that it's owned by somebody who's an immigrant? And they were like, we saw a bunch of different places. They're like, y'all need to go out there and talk to them right now. And you can do a bookkeeping business while you're in school. It's not too demanding as well. It's sometimes it's like the beginning is hard getting clients, but tends to be like if you speak the language, it's easier to get those clients. And because you speak the language, like those clients would prefer to stay with you, right? Because they can actually explain their business and their vision for their business and X, Y, and Z. So I was like, okay. So I've always wanted to do that on the side, but I just think it's just been too hard or just been busy and everything. But yeah, I think definitely for that particular obstacle would definitely be myself, internal, because I think I would want to do it again. I actually been helping a friend of mine with their clothing line. For those, shout out to it's not sponsored, but shout out to Bow Tie who I actually know very personally. And he has his own clothing business line as a um, immigrant. He has his like fashion line for like it's about like activism in with fashion and art and put together. And I've been helping him sort of organize that a little bit and sort of like getting my feet wet. So he's technically my first client, but I'm not charging. He's a friend of mine, and so it's just pretty interesting experience. I've been doing that for a bit. So yeah, I think that's something that's like really, like trying to work at. I think I really am still excited and helping people be it to become their own boss and entrepreneurship. I think that's always amazing to not, I think America was built on all these small businesses, I don't know why we're giving all these tax write-offs to all these big corporations while these small businesses need all that help and support. But yeah, I think it would definitely really be really cool to continue that on the side. So. And I popcorn it to Casey.
Thanks for sharing, Spoon. I think for me, like the biggest obstacle would be financing. Because I think just like me as a person, I wouldn't say I'm confident, but I think I'm assured within like my own capabilities that I think in theory I could make like becoming a doctor happen. I've always done well in school. I've always been someone who enjoys helping others and so on and so forth. So it's never been like I've never been able to see myself doing anything else but that in a way. But I think that my family isn't wealthy, and my dream or the process to get to it will cost a lot of money. And yeah, there's loans and yeah, there's some financial aid, but it's not much. And for me, I have like this struggle internally of like, do I want to put myself and my family at a disadvantage um, in terms of like our financial needs? And I kind of look at like generational wealth. I think that people who have already had established um, who already have like established goals or established family members in this country are more often than not able to succeed in whatever they want because they have already that good foundation of support as well as like a good financial foundation. Whereas immigrants and children of immigrants always have to think about like the more, I guess you could say, drastic effects when it comes to like taking a financial hit. And I think that education just keeps getting more and more expensive. And I think that less and less POC are able to gain access into these higher level learning spaces. But yeah. And so I think like there are solutions to financing and backing my dream, but I think it's gonna be an uphill fight. Um, with that said, I'll pass it off to Ria.
It's yeah, I can't believe how being a or how just how expensive and how difficult it is to become a doctor or to pursue higher education in this country. Like it's just gonna continue to push disadvantaged people further down if they can't even bring themselves all the way up to like medical school and financing themselves, as you said. um, I my obstacles are mostly with myself and also with my undocumented status. I think I am not exaggerating when I say like I really can't do anything because not having a status prevents me from getting a job or continuing education and becoming independent. I feel really stuck in this situation and status. So as much as I want to believe in myself and know that if I have an opportunity presented to me that I will put in the work and I will be doing my best to fund my dream, whatever dream I choose to, it those opportunities don't come by a lot, and that's because of my status. So it's just really, really, really frustrating. I feel like I'm in a cycle all the time. Like I can do it, and then no, you can't because you don't have papers. And it's like, but I could become an entrepreneur. But it's like, who will hire me? So yeah, a bunch of things. I'll bring it back to Blue.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I hear you, Ria, because I think you and I are in the similar boat in terms of kind of being in this limbo state where you're like, I want to do this, but I can't, and you're kind of going back and forth, and it's like an inner struggle with yourself all the time to the point where you kind of get stuck there. But yeah, I guess. I want to kind of switch the conversation a little bit to something maybe a little bit more positive and kind of ask anyone, is there any person, organization, group, or just anyone in particular that kind of inspires you to work towards your dreams? Like, where do you get your inspiration during difficult times or like through when you're going through a rough patch, is there any person or anything that you go to kind of lift yourself back up there from that bad place and kind of keep inspiring to kind of chase your dreams? Is there a particular person or anything in particular that allows you to do that? And I'll go first again. Oh, okay. Looks like I'll let Casey go first, actually.
Thanks, Blue. I think for me, it all stems from family. I just think about particularly my dad, and I think like of how strong he is and of how like he did so many things like alone that I can but like I think for me it's like I want to see more people who look like me. I want to see more people who are in the medical field who are Hispanic and can speak the language. And that also inspires me to see, like, to be able to help pave the way for future generations of children of immigrants. Oh, were you guys able to hear me?
Yeah, no, I think it got cut off for a little bit, but we heard most of it. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties, Zoom. But yeah, mainly, I would say mainly my family would be my inspiration. Is there anybody who would like to go next? Spoon, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much, Casey. Yeah, I also think it's family. I think our family is an inspiration. I think there's people who, my family, I think they're trying to be very optimistic all the time. My parents are, well, to a point, to a fault, they're very optimistic. They had to be. I think they dropped everything in Korea and came to the United States with me and my brother. And I think they had to have this vision and dream. They weren't, my family weren't escaping anything. They came to actually United States for me and my brother's education. And so I think they weren't escaping anything. So they're coming here to the United States because they wanted a better life or better future for me and my brother. And I think that's something that I think about almost daily. I think I'm like, oh my God, like if I were to drop everything and go to a country or that I don't even know, to meet people I never met before in a language I don't even understand, that is insane. And I think that level of like bravery and um, craziness is something that it's in uncomprehensible for me. I think a lot of other organizations as well is like, my church, my current church and my previous church as well, who have been there to help support people and community. Also, obviously, the Korean Resource Center, who has a long history to help a lot of undocumented folks like me. And obviously, this group of amazing people here who stuck it out and really wanted to create something for other people like us, or other people who are marginalized, other people who have not many resources or access to information or funding or anything like that. So I'm really inspired by all of you here. And, hopefully those who are also listening as well can also be inspired by our stories too. So, and popcorn it to Ria.
Uh, I feel like the thing that is inspiring me or pushing me the most to pursue my dreams is actually one of my best friends. She was also in a similar situation where she was a undocumented AAPI person who had DACA, and she just went ahead and pursued her dream. And it looks different from mine, which is for her, she decided to leave the country and pursue her career aspirations in other places, but she was able to fulfill some of her lifelong dreams, which is like to travel and to make art and to be in different places and to also see her family residing in Korea, which is where she's from. And it's like she also had a very difficult time making these decisions and pushing herself to leave and to go into the unknown. So if she can do it, then I can do it. Our unknowns are going to be very different and we're going to be facing different things. But as long as I have her and as long as I have communities around me where I can talk to about the struggles that I'm facing and how I feel, I think I'll be able to do it. And I'll pass it back to Blue.
Yeah, thank you, Ria. Yeah, I mean, I guess I will talk to about what inspires me or who inspires me. Obviously, the common denominator I think that a lot of us said is just family in general. But I also wanted to mention I get inspired from people succeeding. Whenever I see somebody doing well, and whenever I browse through Instagram, which I don't do much, but whenever I do, on occasions do, whenever I see somebody that maybe accomplish something small every day, or like they did something that they were very proud of, that kind of inspires me to keep working and keep going even through tough times, because we all go through them. We all go through tough times. It's just that some of us are better at masking it than others. And then just there's one person in particular who unfortunately is not here anymore, but he's a professional athlete. I like sports a lot. He's a professional athlete. His name was Kobe. I mean, I think a lot of us know who Kobe was. I'm not a Lakers fan, but I respected Kobe a lot, just because once he unfortunately passed, I remember him talking about his childhood and how he was actually from Italy, and he had to live there for a long time, and he was kind of alone because he was different than the other kids. And that's where he actually started to pick up the basketball and kind of obsessively work on his craft to become like the player that he became eventually. But in that interview in that documentary that I watched about him, he was talking about how in order for you to succeed and in order for you to get to where you want to go, you're going to have to embrace the uncomfortable, and you're going to have to embrace your failures, because they are going to happen. Even for somebody like him, who at times seems invincible, he went through a lot of struggles and tribulations and doubts. And a lot of times I think that we see we look at all these people that are successful, that reach the top, but we don't realize that they were just like us at the beginning. They were just like essentially nobodies at the beginning, and they had to work their way up the ladder and reach their success. And I think that that's kind of the message that I learned from him, just from seeing him work so tirelessly every day to essentially get to where he was. But yeah, that's kind of what I try to emulate. Obviously, I'm nowhere near his work ethic. His work ethic is second to none, or was at least. Yeah, but he's also somebody that I draw a lot of inspiration from, because of the way he carried himself, and also just I don't know if you guys have heard him talk in interviews, but whenever he speaks, he does it in such a way that's so eloquent and so precise, and he has a certain cadence to his words that makes it kind of make me want to hear him talk. He had that charisma that made me want to hear him speak. And yeah, I mean, that's one of the main people that I kind of draw inspiration from. And I guess kind of for my last question of this podcast, to kind of wrap things up, has there ever been a dream or a goal that you achieved that you were very proud of? And if so, what was it? If you would like to share with the rest of us. I can go first unless somebody else wants to go.
Oh, I can go first. I think a goal that I was really, really proud to achieve was definitely graduating college. It was something that my parents wanted for me, and I also wanted for myself because I knew that college would open me up to new worlds and opportunities, and it allowed me to pursue the career that I want. Um, and to think that I was able to graduate college despite being undocumented and not knowing, like, I literally did not know what the DREAM Act was until months before, not months, like weeks before I had to put in my SIR. But I still stuck it through, and whatever obstacles came my way, with mental health, with classes, with commuting, I still pushed through and was able to graduate. And without those experiences, I don't think I would be as resilient as I am today. So I'm really proud. So that's what I am very proud about, but I hope I can continue to achieve more goals soon. I'll pass it on to Casey.
I am so proud of you, Ria. Oh my gosh, I think like long-term goals versus short-term goals. So I think like long-term goal is to be a doctor, right? Short-term goal is to get my degree. And I think right now my most proudest achievement is that I'm a transfer student, and this year I will be transferring, and I think like that in and of itself is a big accomplishment for me. And I just feel like, Zoom University, we're all going through it. Uh, and I think that just like shout out to everybody, every student who's been trying to manage taking online classes when they were never used to it before. I think like being able to transfer during a pandemic is my biggest accomplishment so far, and I'm looking forward to graduating, hopefully, fingers crossed, guys, in the near future with my bachelor's. So, yeah, I'll pass it on to Blue.
Yeah, thank you, Casey, for that. And I know you'll get there. I know you'll get there. It's going to be tough, but you'll get there for sure. For me, one of my biggest goals was just adapting to this country when I first came here. I think that was one of my biggest kind of accomplishments. It's kind of an ongoing process because I'm still living here, obviously. But yeah, just adapting to this country when I first came here. I just remember the first week when I was here, it was so weird how everybody was speaking English. And I was like, why are they speaking English? It's like, it was such a cultural shock just to see people speaking English as if it was normal. And yeah, just not knowing where to go, not knowing where everything was. It was very weird. I had no idea where to go a lot of times, like my first week of school too, like, because I didn't know anyone. I mean, it's like, I'm on my own, like everybody be speaking English. And I was like, even though I knew English from like studying in Argentina where I was from, that that difference in culture was definitely a very hard adjustment to kind of adjust to. So I'm glad that I was able to adjust because my parents were relying on me on a lot of things. So I'm very glad that I was able to adjust. And I just also want to just mention this quick accomplishment. I had to write a 30-page research paper for my econ class. And man, that paper was hard though. That paper was hard because our professor was a Harvard professor. And man, he was tough. I just remember when the first day of class, he was like, give us the syllabus, and I was like thinking, we're just gonna go through the syllabus and the class is gonna be over, because the first day usually that's how it goes. And then he went through the syllabus, but towards the end there was an extra page, and it said research paper 30 pages, and I was like, oh shoot, like I'm gonna have to write this. And he said, you have the whole semester to do this, but yeah, you basically gonna have to write a 30-page paper. And man, that semester was hard because I was spending a lot of time in the library just writing that paper. So I just want to briefly mention that. I think that was one of my biggest accomplishments, having to write that research paper for 30 pages. But yeah, and then I'll pass it off to Spoon.
I've been out of school for a really long time, but that just made me panic a little bit. 30 pages. I think most I've written was like, I think 10 or 15 pages. I think that was the assignment. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so long. But it was double space, so it wasn't as bad. But yeah, I think one of my biggest accomplishment that I personally like to, really highlight is one, I think like a bunch of us did mention like academics, I also was able to graduate. I remember when I got into UC Irvine and I went to school and I graduated, my parents didn't have to pay anything. And I think that was something that I still can't believe myself. Like, obviously, I think they try to help me with like, buying food or whatever or anything like that. But my tuition was covered, and I was able to have some money on the side for me to also, buy books and food and everything. So that is something that like I still can't believe, and my parents came to this country and be like, hey, like we put all this, sacrifice for you so that you can go to this college and so that you can get paid to go to college, so you don't have to worry about food or money. And I was like, you know what, this is amazing. And I couldn't believe it. I remember, and this might be kind of goofy, but I just wanted to mention it because I know that's a really funny story. I'll laugh at it right now. Outside of UC Irvine, where I attended, there is a UTC. It's like University Town Center, and there's like a Chick-fil-A there. I don't need Chick-fil-A anymore, but I remember there was a shuttle that from that place to back to apartments from where I was staying at when I was in Irvine. I was, and this is not a sponsor to Chick-fil-A, but I was just craving Chick-fil-A because I was smelling it. And I remember getting Chick-fil-A and eating outside and waiting for the bus stop. And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, like I'm at, and it was like the first quarter. And I remember everything just hit me all at once. I was like, I'm at a university. I can just get Chick-fil-A if I want to. Like I wasn't worried about money too much. And everything just hit me so much. And I just felt like emotional eating Chick-fil-A. It wasn't that good of a sandwich. I don't remember it being that good anyway, but it was just like thinking like, oh my gosh, like I am here getting a university education, and I made it because I studied really hard and my family sacrificed so much, and I got to where I was. And I remember now like feeling the second time when we finished our within KRC, we had a BAP, Bridge Across People internship with 2020 last year. I know both Ria and Blue was part of that. And I remember thinking when we finished the digital conference we did, that was like a huge accomplishment. I remember I've always wanted to do an internship that is paid for our immigrant communities and giving opportunities for folks who never really had that opportunity before. And we had all these ideas, all the things we wanted to do, and it became better than I could ever imagined. And I remember thinking, finishing that, I remember leading up to it, I would like wake up like really stressed out because everything was still being like changed, and there was a lot of anxiety there. I know both Ria and Blue might have noticed, along with every other intern, but it was very stressful. But being able to accomplish that made me realize, wow, like one, I was just like, man, like if I had funding, like, or money, I could do so much more. That was my initial reaction as well. But I remember thinking like, this is amazing. I not only was I be able to be part of something amazing, but I was able to help create a resource that really wasn't there for a lot of people. And I remember that was when I was like, oh my gosh, I really am sort of so blessed or privileged or even lucky to even have an opportunity where I can create something that I know that would really benefit the community. So I was super happy, and I think that was one of those things where um, it was a dream of mine, I guess, but it wasn't really something like I was like trying to go for. It was more like out of necessity. But I mean, when we finished it, it was just a huge accomplishment that all these amazing interns and amazing facilitators and all these people got together and created something. So yeah, I am really super proud of that. Even now, I remember I still like tell other colleagues in the organizing space, like, hey, we put together a digital conference. What did you do during a pandemic? And everybody, it was just an amazing. I still can't believe we did that. So it was an unbelievable experience that I did and I had. So yeah, I'll pass it back on to Blue.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much, Spoon, for that. Yeah, I mean, I was part of that program, so I definitely enjoyed it, and it opened the door to kind of get my feet wet and the social justice space, and I've been there ever since. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed it when everything was done, obviously. But yeah, I think that really kind of wraps up today's episode. And I just want to thank everybody here, Spoon, Casey, and Ria, for being here again for this amazing episode of our dreams and goals. And I hope that anyone listening in, can get inspiration from just listening to this episode, and can try to chase their dreams or goals even through these tough times that we're going through, like the pandemic. But I believe we're turning the corner just a little bit more every single day. With the vaccines, I'm hoping that things are going to continue to get better compared to what it was at the beginning, obviously. But yeah, I want to thank anyone that's listening in, and please don't forget to follow us on our social media pages and tune in for the next episode. And yeah, everybody, make sure to stay safe and take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.